Hi guys, cinematic recap here. Before we start, warning. Spoilers ahead. Today, I'm gonna explain an American computer animated fantasy and adventure movie, called Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. The movie opens in the town of Del Mar, where the renowned hero and outlaw, Puss in Boots hosts a party at the governor's house. He mounts the stage and then runs around the people of Del Mar, singing a song about how famous and fearless he is. At one point, the governor comes home and is extremely shocked to see that his house is in a mess. Thus, he orders his guards to arrest Puss, who then fights off the guards single-handedly without any difficulty at all. As the crowd sings and celebrates his win, Puss sets up some fireworks that launch him away from the governor's house, but his action accidentally awakens the nearby sleeping giant of Del Mar. The giant becomes enraged by the commotion and starts attacking the governor's house, causing the people to flee in fear. It also grabs several people and puts them in its wooden container. Seeing this, Puss decides to fight the one-eyed giant, with the crowd cheering him on. He first rescues the captured citizens and manages to wrap a bell around the giant's horn, ultimately subduing the giant and saving the town. As he stands triumphantly and the crowd adores him, a giant bell suddenly falls from above and crushes him, knocking him unconscious. Later, Puss wakes up in the town hospital, where a doctor informs him that he died after being crushed by the giant bell. The doctor also reveals that Puss has used 8 of his 9 lives, and he seriously advises Puss to retire from adventuring. He even gives the address of a lady named Mama Luna, who is a cat fancier, so that he can retire and live his last life in peace. However, the stubborn cat refuses and instead mocks the doctor before leaving the hospital as if there is nothing to worry about. He then heads to a bar and drinks a glass of milk while thinking about the doctor's words. Suddenly, he is joined by a mysterious black hooded wolf, who somehow knows him really well. The wolf reveals himself to be a bounty hunter before the two get into a fight. At some point, the wolf manages to disarm him and ends up gashing his forehead, which leads Puss to fear his possible death. After losing his sword and feeling he can no longer fight the wolf, Puss runs to the toilet to hide and escapes through the sewers. He then runs through the woods and finally arrives at Mama Luna's house, where he decides to retire and ceremoniously bury his attire in the garden. Following this, Puss knocks on the door and acts like a cute abandoned cat, causing the lady to adopt him. Inside, he meets tons of adopted cats and is eventually given the name Pickles. At first, Puss finds it difficult to adapt to the life of a lap cat, but as time goes on, he gradually learns and adjusts to his new way of life. He also makes the acquaintance of a talking dog named Perito, who has been disguised as a cat since he has been living with Mama Luna. One day, the crime family of Goldilocks and the 3 bears consisting of Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear, show up at Mama Luna's residence in search of Puss. They take Mama Luna hostage and ask where Puss in Boots is. Since Mama Luna does not say a word, they check all the cats in the house and finally finds Puss. Fortunately, they do not recognize him as Puss in Boots because of his growing beard and different outfit. Therefore, the crime family is only able to find Puss' grave, concluding that Puss was dead. Puss overhears them mentioning a magical wishing star that can grant a single wish to someone bearing its map. Currently, the map is in the possession of a corrupt pastry chef and collector of magical artifacts named Big Jack Horner. Upon learning this, Puss becomes thrilled as he finally finds the solution to his problem, which is to get his 9 lives back. After Goldilocks and the bears leave, he enlists Perito's help in getting his cape, belt, and boots out of the grave. He then leaves Mama Luna's house and rushes to Horner's house to steal the map to the wishing star. Unexpectedly, he is accompanied by Perito, who wanted to join him in his mission. Puss gets into the trophy room through the chimney and finally locates the map. When Horner is distracted by his guards, Puss tries to use the opportunity to steal the map and restore his lives, but to his surprise, he reunites with his resentful ex-fiancée, Kitty Softpaws. Goldilocks and the 3 bears suddenly show up, drawing Horner's attention to them. After a brief skirmish between all of them, Puss and Kitty manage to escape with the map in a cart driven by Perito. During their escape, the two are still fighting over the map, while Goldilocks, the bears, Horner and his guards give chase. Because of that, Puss throws some bags of golds on the ground, causing the citizens to block the road. However, he becomes scared when he spots the hooded wolf watching him from the crowd. Meanwhile, Horner decides to use his magical ball to locate them, and Goldilocks with the 3 bears follow the scent trail of Puss and Kitty. Long story short, the map leads the trio to the Dark Forest, where they learn that Dark Forest is a pocket dimension that changes its terrain depending on the map's holder. Puss and Kitty both receive dark and frightening landscapes, while Perito's is a colorful and seemingly tranquil forest. Because of this, they order Perito to hold the map. Soon, they come across a field full of gigantic blue roses. Puss and Kitty begin to attack the flowers, but instead, the living flowers overpower the two. Luckily, Perito manages to save them after he sniffs the flowers, eventually letting the group to pass through. On the other hand, Horner's forces finally meet Goldilocks and the bears in the dark forest. Horner quickly knocks them out using his magical sword before arriving at the field full of blue roses. He orders his guards to clear the path, but several guards end up being eaten by the flowers. Seeing this, he decides to use one of his magical creature Phoenix to burn the flowers. At the same time, Puss, Kitty, and Perito get on a boat to the next location. At one moment, Puss throws his wooden stick for Perito to find, but Perito gets caught by Horner, who threatens to kill him if they do not hand the map to him. Not long after that, Goldilocks and the bears suddenly appear, and a fight breaks out between them. Amidst the chaos, Puss spots the hooded wolf again and runs away out of fear, distracting Kitty and enabling Goldilocks to obtain the map. Knowing this, Perito follows Puss into the forest and ultimately finds him laying terrified under a tree. After Perito calms him down from a panic attack, Puss confesses that he left Kitty at the altar on their wedding day. Therefore, he is certain that Kitty would never trust him again. Unbeknownst to them, Kitty overhears their conversation before revealing herself to them. Puss expresses his regret that he lost the map, but Kitty assures him that they will get it back. Meanwhile, Goldilocks and the three bears follow the map and finally arrive at an old cabin which looks exactly like their home. As soon as they enter the cabin, the bears immediately enjoy everything inside. At first, Goldilocks is cautious and feels it might be a trap, but eventually she gets distracted after seeing a vision of her first encounter with the bears. On the other side, Puss and Kitty climb a tree to scout Goldilocks and the bears. At that moment, Puss finally apologizes to her about what happened in the past. After accepting his apology, Kitty reveals that she never attended the wedding either, feeling that she could never compete with someone who loved himself more than her. They continue their way to the cabin and devise a plan to reclaim the map from Goldilocks. Puss sneaks into the cabin and manages to retrieve the map. Goldilocks spots him and the bears wake up from their slumber. Puss passes the map to Kitty, and the two proceed to make their way out of there. As the landscape suddenly morphs, Perito is captured by Goldilocks and the bears, while Puss is trapped in a gigantic crystalline cave. When Goldilocks and the bears get into an argument, Kitty takes the chance to rescue Perito. Because of that, they search Kitty and Perito, who have fled, but at a certain point, Baby Bear loses their trail. Enraged, Goldilocks mocks Baby Bear and reveals that she wishes to reunite with her biological family. This devastates the bears, but Mama Bear assures Goldilocks that they will still help. In the meantime, Puss goes deeper into the cave and encounters crystal reflections of his past lives. The reflections mock him for changing his arrogant attitude, reminding him of the fun, adventurous life he used to live. At some point, the hooded wolf appears once again and finally introduces himself as Death. He also reveals to Puss that he wants to kill him for squandering through his past 8 lives. Hence, Puss panics and hurriedly escapes the crystalline cave with a map. At the same time, Kitty and Perito see Puss from afar and try to call out to him, but he does not answer them and keeps running to the wishing star. Upon his arrival, a bright light emanates from the wishing star, which is witnessed by Goldilocks, the bears, and Horner. After that, Puss begins to read the words on the map. Suddenly, Kitty interrupts him and berates him for his selfishness, while also confessing that her wish was to find someone she could trust. A few moments later, Horner, Goldilocks, and the bears arrive at the wishing star. Another fight ensues between them, during which Goldilocks forfeits the wish to save Baby Bear's life. Horner is also trapped inside his magical bottomless bag after being kicked by Kitty. Perito eventually gets the map and gives it to Puss. As he is contemplating his wish, Death suddenly arrives and surrounds himself and Puss with a ring of fire, challenging Puss to a duel. Instead of wishing for more lives, Puss drops the map and courageously accepts the duel. An intense battle begins the two of them, during which Puss manages to disarm Death. He boldly states that while he knows he cannot win, he will continue fighting for his final life. After seeing that Puss has lost his arrogance, Death begrudgingly spares him, even though he and Puss agree that they will meet again one day. Puss then offers the map to Kitty, but she refuses as she has already gotten what she wished for. Just then, Horner suddenly re-emerges from his bag as a giant and quickly seizes the map from Puss and Kitty. As he attempts to make his wish to control all magic, Perito manages to distract him long enough for Puss, Kitty, and Goldilocks to retrieve the map from him. Afterwards, they rip the map to shreds, causing the wishing star to collapse. All of them jump off from there, except Horner, who is destroyed along with the wishing star. In the aftermath, Goldilocks finally accepts the bears as her family and leaves with them to take over Horner's bakery business, while Puss rekindles his romance with Kitty. Several days later, Puss, Kitty, and Perito steal a ship from the governor of Del Mar and set sail to visit some old friends. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.